Nearly 80% of the country is devoid of people. The rest consists of mountain ranges, rich valleys, and high plateaus. In addition to Vatnajökull, Europe's largest glacier, there are a number of other long, deep fjords and glaciers. Whenever you make a turn, the scenery is different. Iceland may be the last spot on Earth to have been inhabited no more than 1100 years ago. Scientists are still making progress in a number of areas, and new discoveries are being produced all the time. Keep watching to see the 10 astounding discoveries of Iceland. Viking-era caves. Near the southwest Icelandic settlement of Oddi, researchers have found a network of caves that date back to the 9th century. Although the first cave was only discovered in 2018, these new caves are a part of a much larger cave network. There are simply no words to do it justice. To the archaeologists' great astonishment, the caves turned out to be interconnected inside the same system. This recent find changes the course of Icelandic history. Archaeologists have concluded that Vikings lived in Iceland much before that time due to evidence found in the excavations. In 2015, archaeologists uncovered the long and narrow foundation of a home made of thatch and straw, which allowed them to connect with other comparable Viking houses. The submerged continent. It's possible that the rest of the continent, named Icelandia, is submerged deep inside the Atlantic Ocean, and that only Iceland is visible above water. In the footsteps of Warren B. Hamilton, New Ideas in Earth Science, Gillian Foulger and her colleagues from Durham University present this concept. The location of Iceland on the mid-Atlantic ridge, where two plates are steadily drifting apart, is geologically significant. More seafloor is formed as magma rises along the ridge, cools, and then solidifies into rock. Millions of years ago, before the Atlantic Ocean existed, the continents that are presently separated by it were united in a single supercontinent called Pangaea, and Icelandia would be a relic from that time. However, because of the movement of the plates, the continents have drifted apart. On the other hand, Foulger believes Icelandia to be a remnant of Pangaea's continental crust that is now buried beneath Iceland. In the Asperge Canyon, geologists have determined that a devastating glacier flood of the Jökulsá River initiated the formation of Asperge Canyon around 8 to 10 million years ago, shortly after the last ice age. The flooding was most likely caused by a volcanic explosion below the Vatnajökull glacier, which serves as the ice cap. 3,000 years ago, this process happened again, further shaping the breathtaking gorge we see today. However, a different explanation is provided by Icelandic tradition, and this is true of many of the country's sites. Legend has it that while Odin's eight-legged steed Sleipnir raced across the sky, the canyon's horseshoe shape was formed when one of its feet touched the ground. Throughout history, Sleipnir has been widely portrayed as Spurge's true founder in art and literature. According to some legends, elves and the Huldufolk, hidden Iceland's people, make their home in the city of Asperge. Icelandic folktales frequently include these outlandish sorcerers and their unusual schemes and penalties. Volcano Fagradalsfjall. On its 6-month anniversary, September 18, 2021, the eruption halted. Still, on September 27, 2021, a new seismic episode began at the northern end of the magma dike that formed in February and March approximately 5 kilometers north of Fagradalsfjall. When the magma's original exit crumbled, experts assumed it was because it sought a new route to the surface. According to geophysical data, a new magma dike formed next to the existing one, but it failed to break the surface and the incident terminated 3 weeks later. It will be intriguing to observe if and when the next dike starts to form and whether we will see another outbreak soon because the region is still regarded as active. On the other hand, magma may be collected at depths without being identified. Hekla, a volcano. Since 874 AD, when Iceland was first settled, the notorious volcano has erupted at least 20 times. The massive 1104-8 eruption was preceded by no warning and produced millions of tons of tephra. There were 4 eruptions in the 20th century, the most recent being in the year 2000. Expert Icelandic geologists carefully watch the volcano in anticipation of its upcoming explosion. Numerous sensors on the mountain keep track of any tectonic activity. In 2000, scientists spotted it coming, giving residents of the area half an hour's warning. Golden Circle. Around 300 kilometers long, the Golden Circle loops from Reykjavik through the southern uplands of Iceland and back. It is where most of Iceland's sightseeing tours and other visitor attractions are located. Stops along the way include the National Park of Thingvellir, the waterfall of Gullfoss, and the geothermal area of Hakadalur, home to the geysers Geyser and Strákur. Strákur erupts around once every 5 to 10 minutes, but Geyser has been quiet for years. We also visited the Skullholt Cathedral, the settlement of Havrejuri, the volcanic crater of Kerry, and the geothermal power plants of Nesjavellir and Hellisheidar. In honor of Gullfoss, whose name translates to Golden Waterfall in Icelandic, the path has been dubbed the Golden Circle for promotional purposes. Lake Kerrid. One cannot simply have a beautiful lake in Iceland. Lake Kerrid is a must. No, it also needs to be inside a caldera formed by a volcano. Occasionally, even that isn't enough. So the most ostentatious nation on Earth offers sites like Carid Crater Lake, a virtually neon blue lake nestled in a volcano and ringed by rare red volcanic rock. Carid, a crater lake in southern Iceland in the so-called Golden Circle, stands out from the crowd because its caldera probably didn't form from an explosion. It is hypothesized that the magma chamber in the center of the Carid volcano collapsed once it emptied. There's no denying that the lake's dazzling rainbow of colors seems otherworldly, regardless of the geological details that lead to its formation. The steep sides of the caldera's bowl are almost fully covered in red volcanic rock, while the waters within are a brilliant sapphire. If the lake weren't so vibrant, moss would cover one of the slope's gentler sides. However, Carid changes from a lively place to a hotspot of Icelandic desolation and starkness throughout the winter months. In reality, it's only different in the winter, not less lovely or striking. Geyser Strákar. To this day, Strákar is Iceland's most frequented active geyser. Along with Gullfoss Waterfall and Thingvellir National Park, it is one of the three main attractions on the famed Golden Circle tourism route. Hákonardar Valley's star attraction, Strákar, is a big reason why it's one of Iceland's most popular tourist destinations. Although geysers still occasionally achieves impressive heights during eruptions, there needs to be a consistent enough occurrence to warrant the area's attractiveness. Strákar is one of the few active geysers globally because of the stringent requirements necessary for their formation. Therefore, you can only find them in very specific geothermal places. Intense heat is the first requirement. Rocks must be heated by magma close enough to the Earth's surface to boil water. Iceland sits above the Rift Valley, separating the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates, so this need is satisfied across most of the country. Second, you'll require access to subsurface water that is constantly moving. Strákar draws its water from Vatnajökull, the second largest glacier in Iceland. The glacier's melting water seeps into the porous lava rock below, spreading out in all directions. In Thingvellir National Park, for example, many freshwater springs are gushing directly from the ground, providing proof of this underground water flow. In the end, a geyser requires more than just steam from the ground like a fumarole does. A sophisticated plumbing system is required for the geyser to erupt. First, a reservoir-like space must be available above the powerful heater. There must be an upwards vent leading from this basin. Silica must be used to prevent the boiling, rising water from escaping through this vent before the eruption. The Skodafoss waterfall, the museum Skovisaf, features a gold ring. The ring was supposedly taken from a chest belonging to a giant among the original Viking settlers, Rasi Orolfsson. According to legend, Rasi stashed away a fortune and a chest of gold at Skodafoss waterfall before his death in about the year 900. Years after Rasi's death, locals finally grabbed hold of a ring on the chest's side and retrieved the treasure. Unfortunately, the ring came loose as they tugged on it, and the precious gem was lost forever. After being donated to a local church, the ring ended up in a museum. The Blue Lagoon. In 1976, the Svartsengi geothermal plant's wastewater was used to create the Blue Lagoon. Valur Mar Geirsson was the pioneer bather in 1981. His plan to bathe in a blue mud pool was received with skepticism before he even took the first dip. However, he wasn't the only one to quickly realize the azure water's extraordinary healing potential. People with skin disorders like psoriasis reported an immediate improvement in their symptoms after swimming in the waters. After word of the opening spread, the first pools were unveiled to the public in 1987. A simple pool in the middle of nowhere has given way to a spa, a research facility, and 2 hotels in the years since. Like, share, and subscribe, and tell us which discovery is the best.